Hello, my friends. Hello, my life warriors. Wherever you are in the world, I do hope you're having a good day. Welcome to the Day In, Day Out podcast. This is episode number 90. Today on the podcast, I was very lucky to have Cameron Campbell, or Coach Cam, as he's also known as, who is a social entrepreneur, innovator. He also is a author as well as a magazine publisher, publisher of Crown and Glory magazine. I have to say the conversation I had with him today was a very good conversation. We talked about a whole host of things and topics. For one, I got to say he has most probably a doctorate or a PhD as a barbecue guru. We spoke about barbecue. We talked about his abyss moments in his life and basically what he did to sort of get himself out of a financial jam by creating Postmates or Uber Eats for himself for a time before that even existed. I've got to say he's a very interesting chap and a delight to speak to. So please sit back, enjoy the podcast. If you've got time, please subscribe and have a tremendous day. Have a great one. Be happy, be awesome, be cool. Peace. Oh. Hello, my friends. Hello, my life warriors, wherever you are in the world. Welcome to the Day In, Day Out podcast. Woo! This is episode, I didn't think I would make it this far. Episode number 90. Today, I've got Coach Cam on today. How can I put it? He is an entrepreneur, author, author, coach, former Division I football player, graduate from the University of Texas. How are you today?
I'm good. Hey, I'm very excited. Now, I very close. I'm University of Houston. Now in Texas, now in Texas, all of our colleges have like hand signs, right? So this is UT.
Yes.
This is A&M.
Yep.
This is the University of Houston right here, baby. So we got to rep that H.
University of Houston. Look, you are the third person I've had from the Lone Star State on this podcast. Look, so far it's been like, I've got to say, you're the second footballer I've had. I've had like a woman on from named Tracy, who is one of the toughest human beings I've ever met, like fight adversity, everything like this. And like, this is one of the things I had an idea of how it used, like how the rankings go in Texas. Like, but I now understand fully. Yes, it is football, church, football, your loved ones, then barbecue. I've got to say.
That's right. That's right. That's right.
Look, the reason why I bring up barbecue as well, like, I don't know. Do you have Netflix at all?
Yes, sir.
Have you seen Chef's Table, this season of it?
I have.
You have. Like,
it's close to religious. So now here's the dope thing about Houston. So you've got the landscape right. And the one thing that we get from from a distance perspective, Houston's here.
Yeah.
4 hours away is Dallas. So it's like 4 hour drive. Then 3 hours is Austin. Then 3 hours is San Antonio. Then like 5 hours is Mexico. Then 5 hours is New Orleans. Right. So what you get from Houston is you get the Tex-Mex from Mexico. You get the Cajun and the gumbo and the etouffee from New Orleans. You get the barbecue and the steak that we're known for as Texans. But then you also get, just that kind of that transitional flair. So there's a pretty unique stat. There are more languages spoken in Houston than in New York. And so we have a humongous African population. We have a humongous Asian population, humongous Middle Eastern population. So you may be eating Mediterranean on Monday, then, curry goat on Tuesday, then Tex-Mex on Wednesday, then steak on Thursday, and then meatless on Friday. I mean, we like to eat, baby. That's a part of our culture.
Look, put it this way. Look, all I've got to simply say is, like, yes, if I was over in, especially if I was in Texas, I most would be a good 150 to 200 pounds heavier. just like, you'll just see me with a like tissue or a rag. That's like, meat sweats 24/7. I got to say, like when I watched Chef's Table, it was a bit like, it was porn. it was porn through porn all the way. I was like, oh, dear God. I was like, I must go there. That look, like late 2021, 22. I'm like, look.
You got to pull up on me, bro. So when you turn a grown man, you get a barrel barbecue pit with your license. Like it's a part of, like I've been grilling and smoking since I was probably 15 years old. I mean, it's just a part of, not from a masculinity standpoint, but it's a part of like what makes you a man, right? So it's like whether you fast grill, whether you slow smoke, no matter how. My neighbor bought an electric grill recently. We almost kicked him out. Like, I'm like, that's cheating. I don't know. I don't know who that. I thought I knew who you were, bro. Like, who are you? What are you doing?
Yeah, no, like this is the thing. Like one of the things I did to test my lady was like, yeah, you know what? When I get barbecue, like basically when I finally find that place to settle where it's like I got a garden and stuff like that, like London apartments. No, it doesn't really work out. Not unless if you're mega wadded. I was like, okay. I was like, yeah, I'm gonna get myself a gas barbecue. Like, you know what? She looked at me kind of like that. Imagine a little bit more disgust on the face. That's like, yeah, I was like, yeah, I was about to just get up and leave. Just like, you know what? It was a beautiful thing we had together, but yeah, I see we've come to an impasse.
It's not gonna work out.
Yeah, she most probably like, if I had a body, I need to bury this in the woods. She's like, I'm with you, but as soon as I said that, it was like, no.
That's a no-go. Now, I'll tell you what. Now, I transitioned from charcoal to wood about 2 years ago, and I'll be honest, bro. Like, it took me a year. So, do you remember like when you like were driving and old enough to drive, but then like you started like kind of getting back into cycling, and it's like I know how to do it, but I kind of got to figure myself back out. Yeah. It took me a year to figure wood out. Now I've got I can do hickory, pecan, and oak. I still haven't figured out like apple and cherry. Like the woods burn at different heats, and so it takes a while to kind of figure it out. But yeah, I mean, that's a part of our culture.
This is the thing. Like you just like it was like, okay, you're like entrepreneurial hat. No, just put that to one side. Just like, now this is what you need to do. I could sense a few. Like we could talk about this for hours on end.
We can go, bro. I mean, so steak, veg. That's the other thing too. Is I play with my diet quite a bit. So I don't really eat a lot of red meat. I do a steak every now and again, but chicken, seafood, vegetables. I mean, you can smoke them, and it changes the complexion. So it's almost like do you remember in the late 80s, early 90s when they brought out like flavored microwave popcorn?
You know what? Like this is the thing. Like microwave popcorn over here in the UK, I don't think it was such a big sort of cultural phenomenon over here.
Really?
Because like don't get me wrong, like popcorn in a bag, freaking it's like air. It's literally everywhere. But actually sort of like doing like the microwave popcorn, I like wasn't a thing in my household. Might be things in other people's household, but it wasn't sort of like you must do this. Like you know what I mean? But popcorn. Yeah, no.
So I remember when they brought like the sour cream and onion microwave popcorn and the cheddar popcorn and the kettle corn. And my mom is a popcorn eater, so it may be to your point, like why we had it so much in the house. But like you taste it, and it's like I didn't know popcorn could do this.
It's like, what magic is this? And I was like, don't eat too much now. Leave.
Right. That's what hickory would do. So if you do like corn on the cob and literally go, hickory, go pecan, go mesquite, it changes the complexion of the corn. I mean, it tastes like a different type of corn. So then you take that and you add kind of the Mexican flair, and you take a knife to the cob and then put some butter, some cayenne pepper, some seasoned salt, and stir it up. Oh my God, that is.
It's like look, at this moment in time, or like I think like you know what now? I think I'm just gonna angle this podcast to by the end of it, but hey man, you should come over sometime. Look, 24 hours later. Hey,
you got some wood back there?
It's like, look, I cut down a tree somewhere. Like, right? No, It's time to cook. How did you get into the country? Don't, don't ask any questions. I won't tell you any lies.
God's plan.
Oh, yeah. He showed me the light.
Right.
Like, if you see any ice vehicles outside, I'm not here. Just keep
Right.
uh, like, this is the thing. Like, you mentioned your diet and like with like being a coach and everything like this. Like, one of the things I always find interesting is how people get that sort of diet like right, because look, don't get me wrong, I've seen the light of Texas and what it does with barbecue, but let's just say that brisket, as much as it looks beautiful, it is not going to be, how can I say, the most healthy thing for you
Right.
on a regular basis. How would you balance that out, say, for like someone who might be coming along for your coaching and stuff like this? Because you know how it is. Diet is that's how you win the battle, in my opinion.
Yeah, no, that is a fact. And so the first thing I'll tell you is everything I learned from failure, like to start the table, right? So I played at 240, between 245 and 260, which is a pretty big window. I was 300 pounds 2 years ago. You know, just I ate 3 years ago. I ate steak 3 nights a week. I ate fajitas. I mean, my lifestyle and my diet were just not in the track of what I wanted.
One moment, you've got something which is jingling. I think I can hear it on.
I think it's my sorry.
Oh, okay, no, why? Please continue.
So I'm just one of those like naturally inquisitive, how can I improve, always trying to get better type of guys.
Yeah.
And so 2017 I cut out red meat. 2018 I cut out chicken. 2018 I cut out chicken. 2019 I went like strictly pescatarian. 2019 I went meatless. I'm going backwards here. So 2019 I went meatless. Yeah. 2018 I went just pescatarian. 2017 I went just chicken. And it just, my body just morphed. And I do believe this. There is a direct correlation between like what you put in your body and what you get out. And you know, it's all those things our grandparents told us, you are what you eat. And as I began to do that and obviously kind of ramp up my, my time back in the gym, when I would cycle, and it's all like tricking and finding the right spot, right? So you go, 2 or 3 months and you cut meat out. You go 2 or 3 months and you go low carb. You go 2 or 3 months. So it's not even that it's a fad. It's you're testing to see what your body responds to. And as I began to take on, more work and drive business, I found myself having to wake up earlier and earlier and earlier. And as I was putting crap into my body, I physically couldn't make it. I wake up at 3:30, 3:45 every day to get to the gym at 4 and kind of start my day. But when I'm, on a splurge or just kind of like the beginning of COVID, oh, bro, like I couldn't wake up. I couldn't operate. I snore. I mean, just all those things. And so, I think that food is a very political, tricky, trendy thing now. And I think it gets politicized sometimes in an unhealthy way. But ultimately, what you do get out what you put into your body.
Yeah. No, I agree. I think food, with regards to sort of like the vegan sort of movement over the last few years, that's been sort of highly politicized. Was it the documentary called The Game Changer? I never saw it, about how it was like, vegan diets and people doing super ordinary things, and like it was being hyped up. Like the whole thing is, I look at the whole vegan side of things and go, yeah, you can achieve quite a lot, but to sort of go into that next level, you're not going to just do it just on a plant-based diet. You need that extra bit of meat and stuff like this. Also, if you were just eating meat, you're not going to do it without plants being there. I don't think there's enough conversation about having a balanced diet. It's like right now with regards to health, there's not enough like conversations going on about, yes, getting fit, getting healthier, which is one of the best things to sort of fight off this damn cursed fucking virus, to say the least. You know what I mean?
Yeah. So for me, it kind of came from a different perspective. I'm not a big conspiracy theory guy, But I'm one of those guys, if everybody's on the hype, then I'm kind of looking like that's not where it's at, right? So at the beginning of the hype of these Netflix and Hulu documentaries, my first thought was, are these the super PACs of these farmers creating these documentaries to kind of get people to change their habits and their trends?
Yeah.
Right. And so that kind of turned me off from them initially. What turned me on to playing with my diet, I have this quote on my wall in my office, and it says, to get something you've never done before, to get something you never had before, you have to do something you've never done before. And so that was more of like, okay, let me see. And you're an athlete, you're a competitor. So it's like, let me see how far I can push my body. Let me see how far I can push like the discipline in what I do on a day in and day out basis. And so most times when I make a major shift in my diet, I'm a Christian, I'm a religious man, and I typically integrate like the Lenten season into it. And the very first time I made like a major adjustment, bro, I craved things that I didn't even eat, like Popeyes. I need Whataburger. Just like junk food that I know, like, I would physically be craving. Like, I want flaming hot Cheetos, and I really don't even. I eat them sometimes, but I don't even eat flaming. I just wanted junk. Yeah. And after, like, I physically had like a craving, like a Jones. And so after I got like past 10 days, like the 11 to 14 day, you have a clarity of head, and it's like, wait, your body's craving something that you don't even consistently eat. So it's almost like the guy who doesn't eat Oreos, like, I just want an Oreo. Yeah. And it's like, wait a minute, like that's not healthy. You don't want that. That's your, like, the stuff leaving out of your, like, you've been deprived of, you're depriving yourself of that junk, and your body is calling for it, which means you've been feeding yourself that calling all this time. You don't want that. And so that's what made me really, and the other thing too is, kind of going back to the Texas barbecue thing, is I found myself asking, what is my relationship to X? Like, what's my relationship to my, to my iPhone? What's my relationship to fast food? What's my relationship to, like, spirits? What's my relationship to champagne, to vodka, to cigars? And so if I'm asking myself this question and I'm okay with what the honest answer is, it opens doors. And so, again, early COVID, I'm looking at, my cellar, and I'm like, what's my relationship to vodka? Because I've been a good friend to vodka the last 2 weeks. I need to probably slow it down.
I'm sure you've been a good friend to vodka at some point in your life, and vodka's been a good friend to you. And so
several nights.
I love you. Oh, that's so kind, baby. No, I'm not talking to you, baby. I'm talking to my drink here. There's a,
Now, here's where it gets interesting. Again, as a person who enjoys spirits, and I'm a natural creator, right? So, in that evolution of my diet, I did play with what I was putting in my body, right? And so, if I'm drinking red berry Ciroc, which is delicious, and I'm drinking, peach Ciroc and whatever. Well, if I'm making adjustments on the dietary standpoint, and you begin to look at what's in Ciroc, it's 85% vodka, 15% sugar, like the sweetener, right? So, as a person who does enjoy, I like to have spirits, I began to what I call smoke my vodka. So I would I would dice up a quart of strawberries and put them in some vodka and let it sit for 2 weeks. And then I do it with grapes, and then I do it with blackberries and blueberries. And before you know it, it's like, wow, this, so obviously it's not as sweet as a sweetened vodka, but it's like, yeah, you're not just like literally drinking alcohol, you're having some type of flavor, and it's calorie free, it's sugar free, it's gluten free if you use the right vodka. And it's like, wow, I can enjoy my spirit, have a little flavor with it. And because it is stronger than like typical, sweetened, it forces me to slow down a little bit. So, everything is an evolution. And I'm one of those, just as a creator, I'm always tinkering with things. I'm always tinkering with my workout, my diet, with, my spirits, everything.
Yeah, no, this is the thing. When you mentioned getting up at 4 o'clock in the morning, to get to the gym and everything like this, it kind of sort of triggers like thoughts of it most really is quite a throwback because I don't think anyone understands, and I don't understand it fully. When you're playing football in college, the sort of hectic lifestyle you lead to just basically look, just to get the football done, and then basically the study on top of that, and being in college football, it's not like you're going to be playing games at home every weekend, you know?
Yeah, no, it's true. And I think that I figured out, honestly, in high school, dude, that I'm just as productive with 2 things on my plate as I am with 6. And so I might as well put 6 things on my plate. And I learned that like my junior year after track. So you play football, basketball, then spring track. And after track, it's like I'm doing nothing with my time. And so as I got to college, it takes that first year to kind of understand your workload and school and personal and whatever. And so once I got that figured out, I was okay, well, if I can squeeze this into this and maximize, what else can I do? And so I was the president of 2 student organizations while playing football, while maintaining my grades, while having a social life. Like, I guess what I'm saying is, like, again, if you've got 100, ways to slice it, you might as well slice it as many ways as you can versus just having, one weight on your plate and not being effective.
Yeah. So like, this is the thing. So would you say this is the thing what gives you the sort of setup for your sort of entrepreneurial side of things? Because look, you're a speaker, you're an author, like you're like a business consultant, and you've got a construction company, right?
Yeah.
So it's like you get what? Can you see and can you feel where I'm coming from on this? Can you?
I can't. Like when you put it like that, I'm like, oh yeah.
Yeah. You know what I mean? Look, don't get me wrong. Look, okay, author. Okay, look, some people go, yeah, I don't know how long it took you to write a book, but how long did it take you to write that book? What is the book called? Wait, where is my notes? Your book, Alpha, Redefining.
Yeah, Alpha Redefined, 12 servant leadership principles of legendary leaders.
Yeah.
So as a point of reference, I want to take a step back. We're in COVID. You kind of made reference to it. Folks are trying to figure out their thing, right? And so first off, if you think the entrepreneur thing is for you, this is the time to test it. Like, you have the same 24 hours as, Bill Gates, who fill in the blank, right? And so as a point of reference, I released my book in October 2019. I started drafting the course, Win the First Quarter Every Day, in January 2020. We finished the first prototype in March, released it in May. I created a digital magazine called Crown and Glory, just kind of a passion project. It's a digital luxury magazine.
My apologies, I forgot to put in the magazine on that.
Oh, but the point I'm making is, like, to your point, you look back and it's like, wow, you can do a lot in a year. You can do as much as you push yourself to. And a lot of it is just like being curious about what you don't know and how long you can sit in discomfort. And so as a creative, I'm extremely honest with my weaknesses, my shortcomings. I'm a visionary. I am not an attention to detail guy, right? And so if you and I correspond over email like 4 or 5 times, you will find at least 4 or 5 typos. Like do not match my intellect with the level of typos in my email.
Look, put it this way. Look, as much as I have it in me because I've been conditioned. I'm born and raised in the UK. If you say something grammatically wrong, that's like, they'll be like, but you mean whom? I can't do it. And it's that bit where you're like going, you patronizing son of a bitch. No, right. It's ingrained from like the south of the UK all the way up to the north. And I would say when it comes to Scotland, then good luck. If this is the whole thing. There's some Scottish people I find difficult to understand. So if it comes to anyone outside of the UK, you've got no chance. Go to Glasgow. But yeah.
That's now look. That's how deep Louisiana is. So they speak like Creole, and it's a hybrid of French. It's more French than English,
Yeah.
but it's like French slang, unknown words in English.
Yeah,
It's its own unique language.
Yeah, like this is the thing. I think the only sort of like Creole sort of connection to actually Interview with the Vampire and Gambit from the X-Men.
Okay, man.
That's it. Like, yeah, but like from like true, like proper Creole, it's like, no. It's like,
Yeah.
it hasn't really sort of made it over to these shores. Like, you know what I mean? But hey.
So have you ever had gumbo?
You know what? I have not actually. No.
Oh, bro.
No, I'm just, no.
I've got to figure out how to freeze a package and get it to you. I mean, it'll change your life.
Look, you got to understand, like, as I said before we started, like I've been to the States and it was up on the East Coast. So basically New York to Virginia. And I think gumbo is something a little bit more further south. So, you know what I mean? Virginia, that's just like, and I was most probably about 45 minutes to outside of DC. So I'm not talking, I'm really south.
You know I mean? Yeah. Still like DMV. Yeah. So here's what we're going to do. We're going to send you a care package. We're going to send you a quart of gumbo. You know what gumbo is, right? So it's a soup essentially, but everybody makes it different, and you kind of just put whatever you have in your house. So shrimp, sausage, chicken, crawfish, you know, whatever, right?
Yeah.
Some people put okra in their gumbo. You don't judge those people, right? So
it's like, yeah, what is this? It's some okra. It's like, hey, adds flavor and tang. It's like,
So people who put okra in their gumbo look at people like my neighbor, like with the electric grill. So we're gonna get you some gumbo. I'm gonna send you a half a slab of ribs and some brisket. Okay. We're gonna send you some. So the Tex-Mex is a dish called a quesadilla. Mm-hmm. A quesadilla is essentially a tortilla, cheese, fajita meat, cheese. Quesadilla is a sandwich, right? We'll send you some of that.
Yeah, you know what? Like, yeah, please do. Like, look at my face.
And then I'm gonna get back there. I'm gonna send you a 16-ounce ribeye. No, I'm sorry. I'll do a T-bone. The T-bone. Yeah. That's my favorite cut right there, baby.
Like after this podcast, just tell me who you want me to kill. Don't worry. I know people.
Right? Look, and that's why I got to get my butt up at 4 o'clock in the morning to get to the gym.
Oh yeah, no, like I was just like, no, that would have to be my lifestyle if I was over there. Just be like, look, I get up early to get to the gym anyway to put in my hours and my time. But like, just like if I was there, just like, yeah, baby, I will see you in 3 days. That's like, it's on the cheek, and it's like that you like should be like, you can give up the barbecue or this or that, and so you don't need to do much time. And I'll just look at her and go, I don't know you. It's like, hello, my name's Niwa DB.
Right.
Like, you knew this from the beginning. Like first
exactly.
Day, she took me to a steak place. I was like, maybe this is the one. That's why, yeah. I was like, yeah.
So speaking of steak, we have we call a cowboy ribeye. So a cowboy ribeye is like a 24-ounce bone-in. And ribeye is not my favorite cut. It's a little more marbly. It's a little fattier, so you get more flavor, but the meat is not as consistent. So yeah, so a cowboy ribeye is a 24-ounce ribeye bone-in, and it literally melts in your mouth. It's amazing.
Oh God.
Yeah.
Like, yeah. You know what? We got to end this podcast here and now, but just email that address there.
Right.
See us waiting at the door, like postman comes out. Oh God, that sounds great. Sounds fantastic.
Yeah.
Yeah. But you know what? Like, this is the thing. As you say, you can get a lot done in a year, and like, with regards to like some of the ventures you've done, like you say you completed the book in 2019 and like now it's available everywhere, I imagine. So how long did it take it like from how long did it take you to like from the start of the book to having it complete? How long did that take?
So it took me technically 6 months to write it, but that's a bit of a misleading kind of thing, right? So so the book is about servant leadership. And so all my life I've been called an alpha, like you're big, you're strong, you know how to make money, you know how to get girls. And I had such a tainted definition of that word that I hated the word. I hated being called an alpha. And people used to call me an alpha or call me an alpha a lot. And so as I began to learn what an alpha truly is, I began to learn about servant leadership and fall in love with the idea. So it took me years to craft these servant leadership principles. Right. And so what I do in the book is I marry these servant leadership principles to different figures in time and history, and I kind of marry them together. And so the book has like character sketches of different people kind of through a unique lens. So an example would be like Muhammad Ali, right? So Muhammad Ali physically is an alpha, big, strong, strappy, rich. I think he married like 5 times. Each wife was more beautiful than the one before. But, through this lens, that's not what made him an alpha. What made him an alpha was refusing to be enlisted in the Vietnam War in 1969 and faced prison. I mean, so he had all of his belts stripped and faced prison time, not only for his religious beliefs, but for what his beliefs were of of us as Black people suffering in the civil rights. So to me, that makes Muhammad Ali an alpha more than beating George Foreman in Manila. And so, it took me years to research these characters and develop a framework of what I believe leadership is. And so, that 6 months, it took me 6 months to comprise everything, but I spent about 3 years really just like sitting in, learning. And I think the other thing too is our culture today is so infatuated with people, with the physical person, instead of the hero or the archetype, right? And so, you look at a sports figure, a celebrity, a politician, that person, when they fall from glory and fame, we're so surprised. Well, it's like a man's going to disappoint you every single time, right? And so the politician who's squeaky clean, and it turns out he had a mistress and has this over here, and it's like, well, yeah, like fall in love with his principles and what he values and his integrity. Don't fall in love with the person. The person's going to disappoint you. And so it took me a while to figure out and kind of sort through, like, these are the archetypal type of, there's a book, oh God, I just off the name of it. I just went blank on it, but there's a book I read earlier this year that talks about, the different type of archetypes of superheroes and just what leaders are. And most times they're flawed people, right? So even if you look at some of our cartoon characters, superheroes, they're flawed people, like, Bruce Wayne and Batman, right? So he's, has anger management problems, has trust issues. He likes to be isolated. So he's not a perfect man, but he's honest enough with who and what he is that those things drive him to pursue justice, right? So it's falling out of love of, Bruce Wayne being perfect and more of this is what he stands for. This is why we can accept Batman.
Yeah, like this is the thing. I think what we get caught up with in the world today is the finished article. We don't actually appreciate the journey someone has to get on to get to that place. And with that sort of journey, as you say, there are flaws, trip ups, like stumbles along the way. And while you look at that finished article, you got to remember that that person is not a finished article. They're still going on their journey. You might have seen them, you might be seeing them right now at maybe the pinnacle of their success, maybe the start of their success, or maybe the decline of it. But everyone ignores the hard work, the hours, the pain, the suffering, getting put out of your discomfort, out of that comfort zone, because people are not interested in that until maybe when that person passes away. Because, like, for example, Chadwick Boseman, right? For me, like everyone goes, right. Oh, Chadwick Boseman. Oh, he was great in like as Black Panther and everything
Black
like this.
Panther, right.
And I go like, I he first came on my radar when he did 42. I was like,
Right.
yeah.
Right.
I was like, oh yeah, okay. Then he did was it Get Out? No, not Get Out. No, the James Brown.
Yeah, the James Brown show. Yeah.
Yep. And then it was like, then it seemed like he was going to be destined to play every famous black male person in history. Oh,
And
like,
he did so. He killed it though, right? So
oh
it's
yeah,
like, this is our
this is
new
the
guy.
thing. Like I was like, I was there. James Brown, I was there. I was like, yeah. Then he started doing Black Panther, and you're like going, oh my god, like, but before then, you know what I mean? And it's only sort of come up recently because of his passing. You're like going, okay, yeah, good 15 years, like in the wilderness, just trying to fight his way up. And like he got there. And like, you're like, okay. He went, like he was like, yeah, Black Panther, like when he did that, Avengers, then it was like, okay. It's like, right, 21 Bridges. And I was like, oh, man, yeah, I'm going to see more great films for a good long time. Your future is looking bright. But good God, it chokes me up sometimes because it turns out he was one of the most selfless people you can imagine. Like for like going through that struggle, fighting, like going to the hospital, visiting those kids and like not going, yeah, you got cancer. Yeah, so do I. It's like, no. It's like, you got cancer. No, you'll be able to make it. Stay strong, child. And like, you know what I mean? And him like doing all of that, they're like going, and then when you find out, you're like, it's just like, wow. You sort of look at it and go, wow, that is greatness there. Wow, that stuff. But it's a case of you still ignore all the sort of come up it took him to get to basically being on like 42, to basically being the like James Brown, like, you know, to get to being Black Panther. And then like you kind of like you get sort of caught up with the fact that he was going through this struggle, fighting for his life, which he sadly lost. But you know what I mean? He was an extremely private man. And like, you know what he most probably was like with his family and stuff like this, I don't know. You don't know. No one freaking knows. It was like, you know what I mean? And like, I would say, it's high, strong, I would imagine.
You know, the other part, everything you said is so right. And I agree with everything. And the only thing I'd add to that is, and I'm a humongous hip hop fan. I love Jay-Z, you know, just a lot of guys that I just look up to outside of the music. One of the things that I would tie him and Jay-Z to, and I actually do a character sketch of Jay-Z in the book, is, you know, Jay-Z does not do a lot of interviews, but one of the things he said about his first album, Reasonable Doubt, is I have to make my first album so dope, because he understood that most people won't find you until your third album.
Yeah.
Right. So most people didn't find Jay-Z until volume 2. Right. So when you go back and look at Reasonable Doubt and, you know, just the other volume 1 and Streets of Watching, those other ones.
Oh, 1 second.
Such an amazing, you know, body of work that you did years ago, nobody saw. So to your point with Chadwick Boseman, it's like, yes, Black Panther is the newest and, you know, his last biggest one, but it's like, no, you got to go back and you got to go back and you got to go back. Like he put this amazing body of work that we all saw and we enjoyed. So I think the reason it hurts so much so you can feel it is we saw his come up in real time. We saw him get better and better and play these, you know, these are high stress. You can't misplay James Brown. You can't get that wrong. No. You can't get Jackie Robinson. You got to nail those. He nailed all of those roles.
Yeah. And like, yeah, he did. And like, this is the thing. When it comes to the journey and trying to obtain that sort of realm of excellence, I think like, and this is purely talking like, not from a personal level, but just from things I've sort of seen, it is more times than not a solo journey, like no matter who you look at. And it's very hard to find those people who can like sort of run with you or kind of get an idea of what's going on. Because look, take yourself, for example, you got 6 operations on the go. You know what I mean? Like to look at just one of those, like, okay, talking about being a full-time speaker or anything like that, that ain't easy, because you've got to build yourself up, get that realm of authority behind you. And then, like, yeah, speaking gigs, sometimes they are there all at once, and sometimes they're few and far between. Sometimes you might have to work for free for some of these speaking gigs. And like, you know what I mean?
Or sometimes a pandemic will come and take one
Everywhere.
revenue stream completely under your feet.
Yeah. Because I'm going, well, you know what I mean? Like, there's a number of people thinking like that, like seeing that right now. And like, this would have been something this time last year, impossible to think of, not happening. But just on one thing, there will be people who can't understand that, can't relate or anything like this. But you're doing 5 things. So, you know what I mean? Like,
you know, what you said is so true, right? So I want to unpack it a bit. So the journey is so lonely. It's so isolating, right? Because you're kind of going back to our conversation with the documentaries, you know, conventional wisdom is telling everyone that you're the crazy guy. You're trying to figure out how to provide for your family and how to create multiple streams of revenue. Go get a job, right? So you're working against conventional wisdom, which means 85% of people can't or won't relate to you. The other 14% see you puttering and see you struggling and are, you know, they're not going to co-sign a putter or a struggler. So they're going to just kind of sit and watch. And so it's really just that 1%, which kind of is why guys who make it either playing ball, rapping, whatever their success is, that's why they stick with that core, because like, no, you guys rocked with me from the beginning. Now, the other thing I'll say kind of going into COVID is, you know, there's one of my strengths is, and I say this like with a non-ego perspective, but like it's being a visionary and seeing ahead of the curve. So not only, you know, as I mentioned off of my book, did I begin to create this online course, and it wasn't like, okay, what's my next hustle? It was, how do I get this information into as many people's hands as possible? There's only so many consulting, one-on-one, traveling, speaking. I got to get this information to the masses. Yeah. And so one of the ways that I'm very fortunate in this phase of COVID, who, you know, a lot of people in my space are contemporaries, are trying to figure out like, am I doing, you know, Zoom webinars? And, you know, I'm just like, you know, I started working on a digital product that got my message out before anybody knew what COVID was. Right. And so there are folks who are scrapping now trying to figure out how to throw something together real quick, but it's like, it's being ahead of the curve. And to that point, in 2015, I was in a low point in my life. I call it the abyss. I was out of a job. I was in a financial, very tight place. I mean, like, you know, if I had another penny to scrape, I'd be happy, because I just had one. I was trying to find another one to scrape.
I know that lifestyle.
Boy. And so 2015, I'm like, okay, what am I good at? I'm good at creating. I'm good at being creative, ahead of the curve. I was Ubering at the time. Uber in 2015, Uber was new. Yeah. Right. And so I said, you know what? I'm driving these big city, you know, these big, you know, metropolitan kind of condensed, you know, mixed property construction pieces. I said, I wonder if I stop by, you know, a 20-foot, 80-foot high rise or whatever, maybe, you know, 40 floors or whatever, and just go knocking suite to suite and see how many people I can take. I don't drink, I'm not a big coffee guy, but people who like coffee, right? I wonder how many orders I could take just knocking on doors and taking Starbucks orders, you know, getting paid, going to fulfill the order, and then bringing the Starbucks back. And then you just pay me like a $3 delivery fee, right?
Doing so Postmates before Postmates.
What got me through 2015, bro, was literally, it was called Coffee Concierge. And so I would knock on doors. I had like a little text system. You could text in your order. You could Cash App me, or I don't think it was Zelle back then, but you could Cash App me your money. I would go to Starbucks. I would call ahead, go to Starbucks, pick up the stuff, then come back, and then you would pay me the difference. I had like a little square card reader you could swipe. Yeah. Right. And so, you know, yes, technically, before Uber Eats and Grubhub and Postmates, like I'm not saying like, like I can see the future, but it's like if you're still enough to look at like what's my condition, what do I have around me, what can I make an opportunity of, the sky's the limit. And so that hustle got me through the summer of 2015. I actually got a cease and desist from Starbucks, right? So Starbucks said, hey, glad to see you're supporting us, but you can't bring a customer a hot drink in the way that we want to present it. And you can't bring a cold drink in the way we want to. So the hot drinks would cool off.
Yeah.
And the cold drinks, the creamy stuff would melt, right?
Yeah.
So I had to figure something else out. So now this is going into winter of 2015. I'm like, I need to provide for my family. Christmas coming for my daughter. I've got to figure out Christmas. I'm from Texas, so I got a big F-150 Ford truck, right? You know that, right? So
stop being a stereotype of a Texan.
Got to. So I'm driving around and I'm having my time with God. I'm being very honest with where I am. I need to figure out how to provide. So I go to one of the very nice areas in town, and there's a grocery store, and there's literally like Lexuses and Ranges and every kind of car you want to drive.
Yeah.
And again, it's the winter season, and they're setting their Christmas trees up. So I go to the store manager, and I say, hey, look at your clientele. Like that guy is not putting a Christmas tree on top of a Porsche. Why don't we partner? I'll charge $50 after your customer purchases a tree. I'll pick the tree up from your yard. I'll put it in my truck. I'll take it to their house and set it up, and I'll dispose of it at the end of the holiday season for $50. And best part, you don't have to be a part of that exchange at all. It'll all be between me and the client. All you have to do is promote my service. I'm going to help you sell more trees. That's what got me through Christmas of 2015. I almost get emotional at telling that story, bro, because you just don't know if it's going to work. And so that season, I maybe delivered, I think I made like $4,000, and it was like enough to kind of get me through, the Christmas. So that season, I had one store. The next year, I picked up a second. The third year, I picked up 4. And so I'm not going to do it this year because I'm not going to nobody's house picking up COVID. Right?
Well, I'll think just hire someone else to do it, brother. Right? Yeah.
But that's that entrepreneurial spirit. You just got to work with what you got. And the doors, again, I'm a religious person, but those doors, the universe will open up for you, if you're just honest and find a way to create value for people.
Yeah, like this is the thing, man. Like, bravo, well done to you, because look, there will be some people, well, not some, quite a lot of people which would like sit down and go, woe is me. But like to see the opportunity with like Postmates before Postmates was around, or Uber Eats, whatever your flavor is, and like, to like simply go to people, hey, I can get you your Starbucks and stuff like this. All I've got to say is, oh, dear God, please tell me you had a loyalty card while you were doing that, because that account must have been fat by the end of it.
So here's the funny thing. I did, but I don't really drink coffee. So they're just like the points like stacked up. And so then I'd be able to buy people's drinks. I would be able to charge them, but then get the drink for free because I have so many points stacked up.
Oh, that's brilliant. Like, yeah, there's a famous story of the lady who had the most points. She worked, I think it was in London. Like, she basically had to order Starbucks every day because I think she was a receptionist. So she was ordering it every single day. And like, she had her loyalty card, and she ranked up. This is like, urban legend. So don't quote me for a whole facts behind it. So I think she racked up something like £29,000, something like $35,000 worth of like money. So I was like, yeah,
crazy.
Oh yeah,
crazy.
But so okay, this year you most probably won't be doing that. But okay, so I've got to say, what made you come up with Crown and Glory?
Crown and Glory is just a passion project, bro. So, we kind of shared earlier, and I'm very, as you can tell by now, just transparent with, I am I'm transparent externally because I'm so honest with myself internally, right? So I think that sometimes as people climb a success ladder, they kind of have this like pious poor face, and it's like, you know, I'm a millionaire, but let me drive a Prius, and you know, like that's not me. You know, I like to have a Wraith sometime pretty soon. Right? So it's like I like nice things. You know what I'm saying? And so, I sit around and, you know, I'm into fashion. I like high-end stuff. And so it was the end of the spring. And I think like the winter fashion, you know, had just kind of taken off the runway events and stuff. And I was just soaking them up. And it's like, you know, I'm looking at my Instagram and there's so many inspiring images. And that's, you know, I think if you can learn more about a person by just a 2-minute scroll of their social media, by, you know, kind of who they are. And I said, you know, I like so many aesthetically pleasing things, and they just kind of, you know, just bring me joy, right? So not from a carnal standpoint, but just I like aesthetically beautiful things. And so, you know, my thought process was, how can I document and share the dope stuff I like? And so I came up with Chronicle. It's a free, I mean, it's my passion project. It's kind of my gift, you know, kind of to the world. And so it's like, hey, this is the world from Coach Cam's perspective. Like these are, you know, a beautiful picture of grapes. I've got this picture on the most recent edition of it, and the tagline says like high school crushes, and it's a picture of TLC from the 90s. I mean, oh, they were just beautiful, bro, beautiful.
TLC. Oh yeah.
T-Bob's Left Eye and Chili. You know what I mean? And so it's like,
look, I won't even sing a song right now because I'll just embarrass myself. But yes, I hear you. TLC.
Yeah.
Back in the day as well. Don't forget your Total as well.
We can go 90s R&B. We can go, you know, SWV and Brownstone and Moke and Steph and Escape and
I've transported you to a different place.
We can go. Yeah, we can go there now. We can go. And so the whole vision of Crown and Glory is really 3 words, and I was able to, you know, what Crown and Glory did for me from a business perspective was I mean, obviously from this conversation, I'm a pretty eclectic person, right? And so it gave me a framework in which to create. And so there's so many times that you see something and it inspires you and you spark, and it's like it's a deviation from what you're supposed to be doing. And so what Crown and Glory is 3 words: inspire, advance, evolve. That's what I do, right? And so a part of me is inspirational, you know, but it really is about, you know, the evolution, right? And seeing things different, kind of going back to the diet. And at some point, you know, if you inspire, you know, and you evolve, you should advance. You should not be the same person that you were a year ago, 2 years ago, 5 years ago. And so, you know, just I think those 3 words really sum up, you know, really just who I am.
Yeah, I've got to say, yeah, I haven't had the opportunity to look through the magazine, but yeah.
You're gonna love it. So it's a digital magazine, right? So it has interactive pieces to it, and I'm still playing with it. It's a passion project I kind of play with, but so there's clickable links out to the things that are in the magazine, but there's also like interactive video component. It's kind of like inside of my head, you know what I mean? And so it's just it's dope, man. You can grab it on Coach Cam courses. There's a click, just put your email in and it automatically sends to you. It's free. There's no charge. But just like, you know, hey, you know, sit a few minutes in my head, and this is kind of how I see life.
Liking it. Excellent. So like, this is the thing with the magazine, like, how long has it been running for?
Oh, just a couple of months. Yeah, I think we went live with it at the beginning of August. So 6-7 weeks.
Right, 6-7 weeks. Like, was it just you producing it, or was it a team of people helping you with that?
So it was my vision. Now, again, I'm not attention to detail person. So like the margins wouldn't be right, and the pictures would be crooked. So I did solicit an editor to kind of just frame it and buff it and give it the finishing context. But yeah, it's just kind of, you know, just inside of my head, and, you know, just, you know, it'll make sense to some people. Some people I think will get it. some people may look and be like, yeah, it's just, you know, like fast cars and fancy clothes. And, you know, I've got this picture of probably my favorite picture in the magazine. I have a picture, so I don't make reference to COVID at all in the magazine. I don't, I'm not a guy who doesn't believe in COVID, obviously. I want to be careful of time stamping a moment when, you know, the moment is the timestamp, right? So anything happening in 2020, you know, COVID impacted it. You just know that.
Yeah.
So with that being said, there's one image, it's probably my favorite. And there's a picture of the rapper 2 Chainz, and he's in a full like hazmat bodysuit giving out food to homeless people in Atlanta. It is a beautiful, it's a godly picture. I mean, it's just religious, right? For a person of that stature, of that success, of that influence, of that affluence, to humble himself and not say, here's a check, go feed 1,000 people, but no, let me go in my community and give. It's that picture warms my heart. And so yeah, I mean, it's just pictures like that. There's a style of art called poly art that I found that I wasn't really familiar with, and there's a parakeet or a toucan, I guess, and it's kind of like 3D poly art, and it reminds me of like Toucan saying, "Remember Fruit Loops as a kid, right?" And so it's just just creative juice.
Like this is the thing, yeah. Like Toucan Sam, Fruit Loops. I think it's made it over here like about maybe early 2000s, but like yeah, when like it didn't make it here when I was a kid. Like there you go. Like, no, like you know, like okay, you know how the most probably treated that. Okay, you know when you put sugar on your cereal, that you put so much sugar in it that the milk can't actually dissolve it, so you're having
it
some
just
type of, like
sits.
Yeah, that's how it had been, and that's me bouncing off the walls. Like
that was my childhood, bro.
Oh, yeah. Just seemed like disappear and appear, and it's like it's lunchtime, disappear again and appear again.
Right.
It's Saturday.
Yeah.
It's like, where have you been for the last 5 days? I don't know, Mom. I really need to. Can I have some more cereal? No more cereal for you. But,
exactly.
But I got to say, like, you know what? I think this is the thing. With regards to the situation of today, and like you made reference to 85% of people would just get a job, and like they'll go, that is my sort of key form of security, and like, you know what I mean, this is how I'm going to make it through the world. I would say right now that sort of mindset I think is going to have to change for a lot of people, because right now like I'm living the furlough lifestyle until till the end of this month, and then I'm back on the job hunt myself because like, look, I'm no Joe Rogan. I don't like if I was,
right.
Yeah, if I was, I must be in a compound somewhere in Austin. That's like I'm done barbecue. but it's a case of I think more people need to, if they don't have it, understood, but I think more people are going to have to start looking at more ways to diversify their income, because look, you know the old saying, don't put all your eggs in one basket. And like when it comes to jobs, everyone puts their eggs, mostly everyone puts their eggs in one basket. And sometimes people not as it's not so much gifted, but I don't think they sometimes would take the chances with regards to, like, you looked at a situation and, I can provide the service, and you took your chance. You know what I mean? Person could have turned around and said no, and you just walk away and try it somewhere else. But it's not what I would say a death sentence if that person did say no. They said yes, and you ran with it. And I don't think a number of people are actually taking their chance, which might lead them to something else, maybe something bigger. It might not be like a big company, but it might be that thing which adds a little bit more change to make their lives slightly easier. I don't like, I know you're most probably in favor of like more people thinking that way, but what would be your take on it all?
So kind of going back earlier to the conversation, to get something you never had before, you have to do something you never done before.
Yeah.
Right. And I started studying Stoicism about a year ago. I was introduced to it by Pastor Ralph Douglas West. He's one of the people I character sketched in the book. And in our interview, he turned me on to Marcus Aurelius's Journals on Meditation. And, the fact of the matter is, we make so many emotional decisions. Even the most logical, we're thinking we're making a logical decision. It's an emotional decision, right? And so what I hear you saying is so true, and it's spot on of, I don't want to get rejected, so I'm not going to try. And the fact of the matter is, like, I can get rejected if I'm comfortable enough in who I am. It's not that I can say, well, it's that guy's fault for not seeing my vision. It just, my vision wasn't for him. So no problem. I would have went to the next store, right? But it's the audacity to know your skin and sit in your skin and just say, like, I understand that one of my responsibilities as a tenant on earth is to make people's lives better in some kind of capacity, whether that's working a 9-to-5, whether that's working a 9-to-5 and making and crocheting socks, like whatever your passion is, like drive your passion. I'm not saying into millions per se, right? Because let's be realistic. Everybody's passion may not drive into millions, but there's somebody listening to this podcast now who's saying, you know what? I really enjoy sketching and putting music over things. I should reach out and see if I can, do his background work or his background art or whatever it may be until you master that skill. The second thing is, and this is kind of talking to the Black community, we have such a pseudo ego of, I can't work for nobody else. That's not what makes you an entrepreneur, right? So the guy who says, I got to start my thing because I can't have no boss. Well, as you grow, you're going to become somebody's boss, right? So if that guy has the same mentality that you had, then something don't work. Yeah. So the idea is, I have a gift, no matter what that gift is. We're talking earlier about grammar, right? So there's a person who says my gift is accuracy of grammar. Then maybe what you should start is a digital agency that helps guys like me proofread and edit my content. There's your thing, right? But if you're so stuck in, I don't want to fail, you fail all the time. Like when you pick up that check every other week and damn well there should be another zero on it, you're failing.
Yeah, and this is the thing. When you look at anyone who you go, oh, that person's super successful, or they've reached the pinnacle of the tippy top. I want to be that person. This is the thing. That person's failed more times than you can actually imagine. They've gone through that suffering. They've gone through that realm of discomfort. And if you put up the numbers, they failed at 8% of everything they did. 20% came through for them, which puts them into today's position. But if you focus purely on the failure, you will fail. It's you've got to look at that whole thing going, okay, I can fail all of these things, but if I succeed here or there, who knows where it'll take me.
And it's a human, it's how we're wired, right? So even people who are hearing the story of Coffee Concierge may be inspired. It is an inspiring story, but the preface of it is, I was broke. I was in pain. I was hurting, right? And so I was in a place of discomfort. And I allowed the discomfort to push me into, again, greatness, not from an ego standpoint, but, it hadn't been done before. So it pushed me into the window of being a visionary because I refused to sit in the discomfort of failure and not having.
Yeah. Speaking of visionaries, so what do you say is going to be your vision for, say, 2021, 2022? Where whatever, quote unquote, the new normal is. I'm sick of saying that.
Right.
Yeah, you know what I mean? So what do you see 2021, 2022 being for you?
I've got, so I'll answer that. One of my deficiencies in being a visionary is I always love to create what's next, right? And so like Coffee Concierge, now the other side of that story is, had I stuck with it, I could have sold a Grubhub for, right? And so whatever. And so in being transparent in my weaknesses, I have a love for creating the what's next. So I do have I have a bold, amazing 2021, 22, like 20, between now and 2025 is going to be amazing, right? So a part of being a Texan, they say you don't want to be all hat, no cattle. So what that means is, you know, you don't want to have a big old hat like you just got this big ranch and you ain't got but two cows on your cattle, right? So I'm gonna keep a little bit of it close to vest, but what I will say is I'm in the beginnings of creating an e-commerce luxury lifestyle brand for people of color to celebrate our uniqueness and to finally match and niche our own lane. I pray that if I am able to succeed in this, that we can enjoy our crowns, we can enjoy our scepters, we can enjoy what makes us amazing because we are amazing people. So from business perspective, that's what I've got going on. Personally, I love to tinker. So there are a few things that boldly I like to figure out. Like one of them, for example, is like homelessness, right? So as a disclosure, as a kid, my dream was to be a politician. Like I wanted to be a senator, right? Mm-hmm. So not necessarily like President Obama, I'm not saying that route, but just I know who I am and I enjoy serving, and giving is one of my spiritual gifts. So, you know, with that being said, as I look to figure out how to solve like really tough problems, you know, homelessness to me is such an unnecessary first world problem. So I have this theory. Now I haven't tested it. I don't have numbers to prove it, but you know, I believe that if I were able to test on like a small city or a small town or parish, I think you can eliminate homelessness if you want to, right? So you take the adult that's a fry cook at a fast food restaurant, and you know he's frying French fries. It ain't the hardest job in the world. He makes minimum wage, whatever. We can train that guy to be a cashier, to make $2 more an hour and dramatically improve his quality of life. There's a cashier that we can probably develop some leadership skills in, who could probably grow to be a manager who can improve his or her quality of life. There's probably an assistant manager at that fast food restaurant who has the leadership skills, has a skill set of all the stuff in the kitchen, but just doesn't have the capital, who can start her own fast food restaurant. And then from there have managers and assistant managers and fry chefs and cashiers, right? And so what that does, as you kind of tuck through the line, is now that fry chef position is available. So come here, homeless guy who doesn't have a job. And again, I say homeless, I understand that there's a big mental component too, like, you know, just homelessness. So I'm not trying to be dismissive of homelessness, but what I'm saying is the guy who's just a lazy bum who doesn't have a job, if we all moved up the ladder, we can create a job for this homeless guy. Right? And so it's like that type of thinking, like, how can we make this world a better place? And I think that so many of our problems can be solved. And while I do believe in equity and providing opportunities, you know, some of them are better coming from private business than leaning on government to fix some of our world's problems.
Like that is going to be a very tall order, like especially in a state like Texas, because oh God, I forget the vice president who became president after Kennedy's assassination. He was the person who put in the civil.
So after JFK came, God, he's from Austin. Geez, you put me on the spot. Golly, I can see his face. Gosh, LBJ,
LBJ, Lyndon Johnson. Yes. Okay. Like basically, I was listening to this book. Like basically, I don't read books, I listen to them, like audiobooks, predominantly. I was listening to this book. I think it's Rules of Law, and it was talking about Lyndon B. Johnson and how because Texas, they like to vote the same person in again and again and again and again.
Tell me about it.
There was someone who, like, I think it was he was a senator. It was the senator at the time, passed, and he had to throw his dice in like there and then. Like he was about a good 10 years before he wanted to do it, but he had no choice. And like this is the thing. I think if you can get in to politics in Texas, like you got to take your opportunity when it just comes on, because they vote the same, and like people stay a long time, because like I think the realm of sort of social mobility, what you're talking about, is needed throughout the world, because without social mobility, people lack purpose. When you've got people who lack purpose, that's when the dark times come, and they end up in all types of places. And people like, purpose in my mind is the same thing as hope. If you don't have them going hand in hand, that's when, as I say, the dark times come. And if you can bring in that sort of realm of social mobility, and I don't mean in some sort of socialism, like sort of realm of heaven or whatnot, but like, you know what I mean? As you mentioned, if you can get like a manager of a like fast food restaurant to then basically start their own fast food restaurant, to have people under them to move people up, that's the type of social mobility I'm talking about. Not just like, oh yes, you are a citizen. Yes, I am a citizen. There you go. Because that doesn't really take on the whole realm of purpose. It's a case of, it takes it out of people's hands. And I think people need that sort of struggle, need those opportunities to put themselves into that realm of discomfort, because nothing grows or moves forward without it, I say.
You're spot on. So it's funny you say that. I've actually been, I say vetted, but like approached about entering in politics a couple of times, one just a few weeks ago. And, I'm disillusioned with our political system, right? So I have a turkey drive. So in 2016, I started a turkey drive. So I grew up in a very rough neighborhood. My parents did the kind of Fresh Prince, so that I moved out to the suburbs, so for me to get an education.
Did you get into a little fight?
Just one.
Your mom got scared.
That's right. You move with your auntie and uncle in Bel Air. That's right. So that was my childhood, and I'll be honest, it left me with not an insecurity, but I have a little bit of survivor's remorse, right? So it's like, my parents struggled and lived well outside of their means for me to have a shot at the education. So everything I do from a philanthropic standpoint, I really pour into this part of this quadrant of Houston, because I understand that I wasn't better. There's a kid that was in the class next to me before I moved that did not get the shot that I got. So I owe it to pour back into that community, because there's beautiful minds and children everywhere, right? And so in 2016, I started my turkey drive, and it was really just an effort for me to say, like, here's what I got, and here's how I can help out. And so, I consider myself a social entrepreneur. So what I did with my business, when I started my sports construction business, this is, 2017, I said, okay, I know how to sell sports construction. I know what I'm supposed to be doing. I know that I'm supposed to be giving and serving my community. I just don't have all the money myself to do it. So if I can combine the two things I know how to do, I can make a positive impact. So I started Texas Athletics Construction, and it really just started just H-Town hustle, right? And so I go to a guy in his backyard, and, I'm trying to sell him a basketball court. And I say, hey, this basketball court is, $30,000, let's just say. But I tell you what, I'll charge you $27,000 if you go write a $3,000 check to that nonprofit. Now, I'll go partner with that nonprofit and go do my community. So I'll partner with that nonprofit to go buy turkeys to give away in the hood, right? So that's not necessarily alleviating my pockets, but there's only so much that I have. I wasn't there yet, right? And so I'm saying all this to say, I don't know if my duty is best. It would have taken me 10 years and 5 backdoor deals to start that turkey drive had I gone the political route, if I were a politician, right? I think that the answer may not be guys who think the way I think jumping into politics and now you're owned by somebody else, or a PAC or a super PAC, or you got allegiances, but it's take the mindset and then add the entrepreneurial piece, and then look at the places, look at the leaks in your community, look at the leaks in the world, and patch those leaks. And if we patch those leaks, then we can make this place a whole lot better.
Yeah, no, I agree. I agree. Yeah, you definitely need to speak to the lady I had on, Tracy. Yes, I would say she's a friend, but like, you know what I mean, until you meet someone face to face and like, you know what I mean, shake your hand, everything like that. Yeah, no, like I think like what you're doing with your social entrepreneurship, what she's been doing with TikTok and stuff like this, like, yeah, it might be able to come up with some really powerful sort of ideas with regards to sort of like, I don't know, like, you know what I mean, the realm of possibility.
Yeah, for sure. Now, I'd love to connect with her. Yeah, if you could put me in contact, that'd be awesome.
Yeah, are you on LinkedIn by any chance?
Terribly.
I gotta do a better job. I did try tracking you down. I was like, where is he? Where is he? I can't find this man for love or toffee.
I was soaking pecan wood, getting ready to grill you a steak.
Look, I go, thank you very much. Yes, I go, my stomach thanks you. Not like my slobbering self thanks you.
Yeah, so I am on all social media platforms. I'm not the most like active. So again, just, you know, how you make them. I only spend like 15, 20 minutes a day on social media. So it is a place that I need to like spend more time. But yeah, no, I'm on social media. My LinkedIn is Cameron Campbell. All of my socials are Coach Cam Cares.
Yeah. So like, this is the thing. Yeah, with regards to the realm of politics, I think it's the el politique, no matter where you are in the world, just moves terribly slowly. And like, yeah, I think it's been proven even more so with the events of 2020, seeing how they react to most things. And I think when it comes to the sort of social help, yeah, I think a different way of thinking about it would be the best way. Something which could be a little bit more nimble, a little bit more quick. And I don't know if robust would be the right word for it, but I think speed is the most important thing, because without it, that's when people fall into suffering. And with regards to, say, 2 Chainz, and like when you saw like the image of him like going into the community, helping out that way, it wasn't a case of he turned to a committee of like 10 people and went, yeah, we need to do this, we need to do that. And they went, oh yeah, let's talk about it. It just went out and did it, which is like, you know what I mean? Which is great. And it's more power to the people he helped. But I think that sort of attitude, I think sometimes might need to be taken more just to get across the line.
Well, and again, going back into our community, that's how, you know, that is how we leveraged in the US, at least, out of the civil rights era, right? So if you look at us pre-civil rights era and out of sharecropping and minimum wage jobs and oppression, it was, okay, you know, we've got a rally meeting at the church at 6 o'clock, and Miss So-and-so is bringing baked potatoes, Miss So-and-so is bringing burgers, So-and-so gonna keep the kids in the back, you know, So-and-so is gonna come up with a strategy for us to execute. And if we all come to the table and just pour what we have, there's enough for everybody. And it is, and I am a capitalist, make no mistake about it. Like, I'm about my bread, I am. But there has to be this level of like social capitalism that understands that, you know, wealth accumulation is not a zero-sum game, right? So it's not like me versus you. And so if it's not me versus you, we can take a pinch of a pinch of a pinch and give it down to the person who doesn't have to, and I say give, I say that cautiously, right? And so I said that I was approached earlier, you know, in the political space. Both political parties in the US right now are so diversely different that they're at this 10% way out here, 10% way out here, that I think that they miss that 80% in the middle, right? And so, you know, I'm not punch drunk on entitlements. I think that, like you referenced, it goes much further to teach a man how to fish than to just hand them a fish, right? And so when I say that, it's like I'm not just like throwing you, here's a fish, but no, let's create micro scholarships for families first, for kids first in family to go to college, right? So yeah, I can't foot your $20,000 bill, but I can put 500 on it, right? And so if you put 500, before you know it, we sent this kid to school. We didn't stuff a fish down his throat. We showed him how to fish. And so as he comes up, guess what? You need to start teaching others how to fish. And it becomes this micro mechanism of, supply and demand, of pulling yourself up and then pulling the next one up, that creates a resolve in us. That's what makes us kings and queens.
Yeah. One of the things with regards to the fish metaphor and everything like that, one of the things I think needs to be put into education, in the education system, and basically people need to pick it up more, is financial education, the power of it. Because the whole thing is the amount of people who are not sort of financially literate, it's scary, because just being able to play that game just a little bit opens up the doorway to many things in this world, to setting up businesses, to with regards to personal loans and stuff like this, or just to know how to get to work the system to help you get a house. And I don't think many people know about it, or they just ignore it, expecting things to sort of work its way out. And you can't do that in today's market, methinks.
Well, yes. And, it becomes very hard to be held accountable for something that you're unaware of. Right. And so, making the bad choices. And again, I've made my fair share of bad choices. If you don't learn from those bad choices, sometimes those bad choices get handed to you. So I, in college, understood, this is early 2000s. So get a credit card, get a free t-shirt, you're getting a $35 line of credit with 22% interest, right? So I understood, again, as a hustle, if I don't have the money to pay the bill, I probably should not get a credit card, right? So it's, 2 months of fun and then years of, I don't know I didn't understand how debt worked, but I understood that it's a bill at the end of that. I actually had a person, what do they call it? Identity theft. So I had identity theft in college, that a bill collector called my head coach and was like, Cameron Campbell owes X amount of thousands of dollars. Whoa. And when I said that dude cursed me, and so he called me to his office, and I'm like, coach, he believed me, but I'm like, this ain't me. Yeah. Right. And so a part of my financial appetite and palate comes from, I was so disillusioned with credit. So I think the bill got ran up to maybe $5,000, which sounds like $50,000 when you're in college. What I'm gonna do with $5,000? Right?
If it's $5,000 and you don't have it, it might as well be the moon.
Be 50, right? Yeah. And I didn't get to enjoy tricking off the money. It's not like I had nothing to show for it.
There you go. You got $5,000 of debt. I don't remember drinking this much. I don't remember
I didn't get that pizza rock, right? Yeah. So what it turned into for me, and I'm just being transparent, is that stunted my financial IQ. My financial mindset was, what's credit? There's no use in getting credit, because all somebody's going to do is rack it up against you. Or, once you begin to understand how it works, what's the use of trying to have good credit if you have a $10,000 limit and they're charging you 15%? It doesn't make so I had this broken, almost level of retardation approach to money. Well, credit for sure, but money, I was doing nothing to attract money into my life or to make good choices with the money I had, because I had this thing happen to me when I was 18, 19 years old that I allowed to stunt my money maturation. And so to your point, if those things were taught in school, then not only would I know how to handle them better, like file a case or open something. I just let it sit on my credit. I let it sit on my credit for years.
Yeah.
and just kind of play victim. Like I didn't do it. Maybe they'll believe me. They don't believe me, and just maybe it'll go away. Your problems don't go away. And so, yes, we do have to teach, financial literacy. And I think the other thing is, we have to teach wealth accumulation. I think that so many people hear the word wealth and it's like, I don't want to be wealthy, or it's a bad thing. Well, let's take the current, magnetism of wealth, what wealth is, out of the equation, and just make it simple. If your big mama had a house and she paid it off and it went to the family, and when times were hard, you have a place to stay, you have wealth. That is what wealth is, right? And so it's not like, tanning on a yacht, topless, and, like the sitting on Santorini, right? So, I mean, it can't be that, but wealth simply is, if things happen, I have enough leeway to still be okay. And so as people of color begin to understand what wealth is and climb that wealth ladder, we have to drop a line down, and again, be open enough to have candid conversations. Like, I made really bad financial choice. I let something that I couldn't control lead me into a spinoff of making poor financial decisions. Instead of, to your point with Chadwick Boseman, of being, I've got it all figured out, so what you see here, it's like, no, I spent years hustling backwards. But it's being transparent enough to share those conversations.
Yeah. Like, this is the thing. When you say that, it kind of like, who said it? I'm just looking her up now. Like, I watched a TED Talk a few years back by Mandy Bowman. Basically, she talks about Black Wall Street, and basically the $1.2 trillion. Well, basically, like, the Black community in America, like,
exceptional.
Yeah. And I think
exceptional.
In UK, it's something like, I can't remember exactly. I think it's almost like 600 billion to maybe 900 billion. But like, and she talks about how long say $10 stays within a community. And like, one of the things she said, like, okay, like, you most probably, like, when I ask this question, you most probably have a very good idea of how long it's like stays there. But she was saying, was it Jewish? I think she was like, Jewish community stays in there for 30 days. Chinese,
Asian,
Asian, stays in there for about 21 days. White Caucasian, like 14 days. And like, how many days would you say it stays in the Black community?
For us, it's like 2 hours. It's something like ridiculous, right?
Yeah,
it's like the dollar stays in our community 2 hours. As soon as we get it, we giving it right back out.
And like, this is the thing with regards to that, like, without sort of building like sort of like big corporations, or like not even big almighty corporations, without sort of building sort of companies, maybe medium-sized companies, to sort of like take up that, and in the future it could build on again. It's one of those things where it's always going to happen. And when you kind of look at modern day, the sort of next generation of companies, and like, you see how tech companies are, well, they are ruling the world. Right. I cannot tell you, like, please correct me, like, please let me know if you know any, how many Black CEOs of these tech companies exist. Like, it's, I would say, how many Black tech CEOs do you know?
So I have a colleague who has a colleague in Silicon Valley, right? So, so I don't know anybody in Silicon Valley, but somebody I know knows somebody. And, Silicon Valley is stereotypically extremely liberal and so progressive. And, what it really is a current liberal mindset steeped in old school America. So yes, you may not shave your legs and you drive a Prius and Bernie Sanders and all that kind of stuff. But if you put a mirror up to your business, like, how inclusive of minorities are you? How many opportunities you provide for people of color? And there was actually a really interesting conversation here in the U.S. of so Robert Smith, another alpha, right? So this is a guy, U.S. billionaire, black billionaire, who paid off all the kids' tuition. I want to say, it may be Morehouse. I get the school wrong.
3-4 years ago, was it?
No, it was last year.
Was it? Okay, yeah.
Yeah, no, COVID, you lose track of time.
Okay. I am in a weird time warp. Yeah.
Yeah. So I began looking this guy up, and he gives this conversation, and it is thought provoking. And the idea is, it's easy for the tech company to put a black CEO up, right? And you're, again, a token, and you checked our box, and you're a black woman. So now we've got 2 minorities, right? Like, yeah, that needs to happen. But what also needs to happen is that we need to hire the engineer and the designer and the developer and all these different things, because, again, putting the black CEO up in that position is stuffing a fish down our throat, right? So no, teach us how to fish. So help us climb that ladder. Now, the challenge is, even going back into some of the stuff I shared with me, the challenge is our adversity as a culture is our superpower. And so if we were to get that job as a developer, you're going to get a Coach Cam in there and be like, oh, okay, I can do this. I can take this with that, and I can do this and do good. Okay, cool. Thank you. Thank you for that. I'm going to go over here and run mine, right? And so I believe that, while I'm not saying that big, tech companies block us out because they fear that we're going to encroach their thing, what I think we've shown, year in and year out, decade, lifetime in and out, is we learn how to make the most out of very little. So if you give us a piece, we're going to take that piece and blow it up. And I think that instead of having the mindset of what we don't have, then the guy who's a friend of a friend, you've got to come back and you've got to start after school programs and teach kids how to code. And you've got to have these conversations with kids. And, when you're, vacationing, stop by university and have a uplifting conversation, and just, literally pop up at a school and walk in the library and just start a conversation. Like it doesn't take building the next Facebook to find the Black Zuckerberg. That Black Zuckerberg is in a college library right now. It's just teaching that kid or providing that kid pathways to show that kid what his superpowers are.
Yeah, like the reason why I sort of go into that, like why it sort of like sparks off this line of thought with me, is because Texas, and like Austin especially, it's how can I put it? It's going to, I can see this being the sort of new sort of Silicon Valley. It's got those sort of right combinations of tech, and it's getting the right combinations of finance in there. I know Houston is, like, the big cash capital of Texas, but I think it's sort of starting to spread between those 2 cities. Might be more, but I don't know. I'm not.
No, you are spot on. I mean, so there's no state tax, right? No state tax, very liberal. I mean, so it's almost like, what's the recipe for a Silicon Valley 2.0? No state tax, very, very liberal culture, also the state capital, central. So, again, you're in San Francisco, Silicon Valley, you're on one coast. You're in Texas, you can get to any place in the country in 3.5 hours, right? And so you're central. And so so Austin has all of those things. The other thing that Austin has that is so unique is Austin is an extremely diverse city. I mean, there's, obviously white majority, but, the Asian population, Latino, people of color, it's a diverse place. And so, I think Austin is an amazing kind of 2.0 hub for, I use the word innovation, right? And so I think technology, yes, but, if you talk about innovation, now we can bring in entrepreneurship, we can bring in education, we can bring in all these different things, more than just tech. I mean, I think tech fits in the innovation pocket, but Austin, and it's a beautiful, beautiful place. And so I was reading that, Elon Musk was actually tinkering with leveraging himself out of, the Silicon Valley area to set up in Austin. So
yeah, like what I say is, you got to be careful. I think you're going to have a mass invasion from California, and like, yes, a certain bald-headed podcaster is already there, and he's trying to bring as many of his friends there as well. Like,
Man,
yeah.
look, I'm gonna get you a tan cowboy hat. You gonna fit right in, baby.
That's like, but you are, yeah. What are you doing here? Hey,
Good to see what you doing,
hey.
bro. Hey.
It's like, got a small place down the road. Yeah, it's good.
Right.
But yeah, I can just see a lot of opportunity there. And like with you wanting to like start like your digital brand down the road, I think, yes, more people and more opportunities moving in. So I'll just say, yeah, like, get that talent together and like, yeah, move forward quickly.
Yeah, and I think that it's again conversations like this, right? So so there's somebody who's going to hear this, you know, next week when it goes up in 2 years, and again, it's evergreen content. So you may not hear this for 2 or 3 years, but somebody's going to hear this and either spark an action or send it to someone. That person's going to spark an action, and you can we owe it to ourselves. There's a book by a guy, Peter Thiel. He's like the leader of PayPal Mafia, right? So it's called 0 to 1. And the beginning of the book, he makes, what I took away was his thesis was, we're not innovating nearly as much as we think we are, right? And so, 200 years ago, we were, walking or driving horses. 100 years later, you've surpassed carriages, now you're in cars. Well, 100 years from that, today, we're still in cars. Right. And so the idea of innovation has slowed dramatically. And the idea is, we have to continue to find opportunities to innovate, like literally no matter what it is. And so, whether it's, no matter what your gift is. And so whether it's, again, attention to detail and starting a digital grammar services, whatever it is, like we owe it to the world economy, to the world ecosystem, for everybody to dig into what they have to make a better version and not just play it easy.
No, I agree. Yeah, fantastic. Now, let me sorry, I've got to get charged up for this next bit because, yes, Cameron. Now, seeing as I'm an all-powerful cosmic being, now, I have the power to grant you one wish, and no, you can't ask for more wishes. If there was one wish I could grant you, what would that one wish be?
If I had one wish.
One wish. Not two, not three, just one.
So my one wish would be to have the wisdom of tomorrow. Not down the line, I don't want to know when I'm gonna die, none of that stuff. But if I had the wisdom of what it took to be successful tomorrow, like that's all we really need, is to be able to see one day ahead of ourselves.
To have the wisdom of tomorrow. Sounds like something what should be good on a t-shirt.
So look, when you said that, I was like, I want to say something like, is your butt blue like Aladdin? I'm gonna rub your butt.
No. Hey man, hey. It's not that type of show. God,
we talked about everything else.
Hey man, look, there could be kids listening to this show. God damn it. Like, is your butt blue? Let me run it like Aladdin. Look, that's not that type of film. I don't know what cartoon you were watching. What's wrong? It's like, yeah. Da, da, da.
That's the wrong answer. You're supposed to say, if Will Smith took a check, heck yeah, turn around, you can rub it.
Well, you know what I mean? Let's just say Will Smith, that poor fella, he was just caught up in an entanglement.
Oh, right.
Oh, that Red Table interview, I was like, oh my God. I looked at that, I was like, oh my God. There was rumors about him and Margot Robbie. Yeah, like I was like hoping. I was like, look, man, just like, come on the interview, yeah, just like me and Margot, yeah, damn right, I was there. That was my revenge. I was like, yeah.
So let me ask you. So I'm not, deep. I don't sit in social media. I didn't think that was real. I mean, I thought so. August Alsina's album came out the week after. I just thought that was high quality promo. I mean,
look, you know what? Like, this is the thing. Look, I think there is some truth behind it, but you know what I mean? Then there's some, like, like media play going on there. Because look, after that, what have you heard about it?
Well, right. So when I saw it come across, my first thought was, a family of actors have given us a pretty unbelievable story that we're supposed to just believe. Okay, yeah, this is real. Yeah, sure.
Yeah. So all I've got to simply say is, I would say there is some truth to it, but I don't like the whole drama to the whole thing. Yeah. No, put it this way. Like, Jada's been up to her tricks. And look, I will say this, Will's most probably been up to his tricks. And look, I say this purely as speculation. I'm not going to say
Right.
that is the real
Allegedly.
thing. Yeah, just purely because, look, don't get me wrong. If you're that famous, there is temptations and things that will come to you that, like, no one can sort of like go, you know what? If I was like that, that would never happen to me. No, 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 no. No, look, all I've got to simply say is, like, I'm a strong-willed individual, but there are sometimes I look at some options which will come across my path. If I was that person or that person, I would have to be like, ooh, and look, look at Kevin Hart. Look, okay, right? He, like, one of the hardest working people you'll find in Hollywood, inspirational to the MAX, but he had his entanglement in, like, Vegas, you know what I mean? It was like, yeah, just like opportunity. Look, if Kevin Hart wasn't, like, famous and, like, this person he is, do you think he'll be, like, in Vegas, like, yeah, with some, like, I don't know, some, like, rather good looking lady come up and go, hi, what's up? Do you think that would have happened? No.
You know, so no, especially because he's like this big, right? But here's the part that I don't get, and some of it is just like the cynic in me that I'm just. But then you did a Netflix show on it, had your wife on it, so you made millions off of whatever you did. And I don't get much into personal stuff because everybody got their stuff, and I don't judge nobody,
Yeah.
but I think that we live in such a sensationalized time that if it's spicy, if it's salty, if it's grimy enough, we gonna buy it. And I think that the people who create addictive content look around like, what can I get these folks addicted to? Can I get them addicted to love and basketball or love and hip hop? Can I get them, housewives throwing bottles and wine at each other and, entanglement over here. And this man then cheated on his wife, but now he's in a J. Cole video. And now there's a Netflix special called I Really Messed Up. And, I don't, there's somebody crafting conversations and stuffing them down our throat. I'll say that. And so, I don't know.
Yeah, because, like, to sort of touch on what you kind of mentioned, like, if you look at reality TV, right? Okay, look, I'll tell you this now, like, there is no number one show in reality TV where you just got someone who is like the reality show of The Good Samaritan, where they just go around.
Nobody's watching that.
Yeah, but like
the last Good Samaritan reality show was Mr. Rogers.
And God rest his soul, he is not here with us today. Like,
But even back then, he was kind of boring. Like, you're gonna take them shoes off and put those shoes on. Like, those your house shoes. Yeah.
Yeah, and you're just like, hey, I like when you went 143. What does that mean? I love you. You're like,
right.
Oh, yeah, but you know what I mean? That's gone. But look, when you're talking about the stuff which is big, Kardashians, like Housewives of Atlanta, look, some like Jersey Wives, someone flipping the table, as you said, throwing a champagne bowl. Look, there is a lot of crafted stuff, and look, it goes to our sort of base instincts of, we need that, like, that sensationalism, like, rich people or like celebrities doing stuff which they're being naughty or, like, you know what I mean, like, just being out there. It's just sorry to say it, but I think it's a bit of human nature which comes into all of us. Because look, when you hear that little story, if your wife comes up to you, you never guess what I heard. You're like, oh, I don't really want to hear it, but you're like, oh, what did you hear? It's like,
Right.
oh,
Right.
you're down the rabbit hole.
Yeah. So recently, Cardi B and Offset announced that they're getting divorced, and you know, I love Black love. I'm all for Black marriage. You know, my first question is, does one of them have an album coming out? Because it's like promo. You know,
Yeah.
it's all promo.
Yeah, and look, this is the thing. What you got to, and one of the things I think this year has highlighted a lot of things about people. Like, okay, especially when you're talking about those people are your A, B, possibly C type personalities out there, where they'll normally be doing a TV show, a film, a radio show, whatever, where they would be getting their sort of promo kicks that way. It got to a point about 2 months into the global lockdown where it was like, no one's got anything. And then like, well, you saw the Imagine video come out. Oh, imagine all these people. And then you got like people like going, yes, talking about, yes, my privilege did this. And you're like, kind of like, okay, great. And like, I don't know why you all filmed it in black and white, but no worries. Like, yeah. And then you're just seeing people like sort of like, yeah, because they're starved of their little attention they normally get, they are coming up with some crazy
all kind of stuff.
And like, you look, don't get me wrong. There are some things where you go, right, yeah, I understand that. Thank you very much. And then you like, oh, there were other things where you like, oh, right. No, John Krasinski, when he was doing that Some Good News, right? Like, all love and respect for the guy. When he did that show, it was like, yeah, you did it in the right way. You might have got a little bit, he might have got a lot of attention for it, but it was like, yeah, it wasn't about, it needs to be about me. It's just something I'm doing. So there is a little bit more brightness in there. But apart from him, it's all been about, I'm talking about this cause, but you know, here I am, and it is about me. And like, that's the type of thing I can't really sort of like go, yeah, you know what? Get off that. Like, yeah, this is the time to help your fellow person out there.
And you know, it's you know, human nature to watch the train wreck, right? I mean, and I say that, I mean, I don't watch a lot of TV and stuff like that, but it is human nature, right? So I get it. You know, the question, and you know, COVID kind of keeps coming up, and it's like, so you've watched, you know, Keeping Up with the Kardashians for an hour or however long the show is. Like, other than the 5 to 7 minute dopamine rush that you got, like, what's next?
And look, that's where like people have been bouncing around. Look,
and so they look right. So they're looking. So then it's like, okay, so that's all. So let me find this and find that and find that and find that. And kind of going back to our conversation, then it's 2021. like you've lost a whole year. Consuming.
Yeah, no, and like, this is the thing. I won't lie. With regards to myself, and like, I entered into the furlough life, like pretty much it was like, okay, there's something going on, and like I'm like calling. I'm like, with my job, like in sales, I was calling basically from Europe all the way to New Zealand. So I was up at the crack of dawn, like forget dawn. Like, I was up before the lark, everyone else. Like, when people were like just going to sleep in some cases, I was up calling people. And it was just like, trying to call people in China, and no one's there. And people like, the editor was like going, oh, what do you mean? I was like, no, I mean, no one is there. Like, last week, I was getting through to people, speaking to them. This week,
nobody.
Nobody. And like 1 week later, like, yeah, you know what? It seems like I'm getting less and less people, and it seems to just be like, oh yeah. And then a month later, it was like, oh yeah, they're like, yeah. There's something going on, and yeah,
they ain't doing too good over there.
Yeah, and I'm like, you know, when you like, you sit there in a meeting, like, go, didn't I just tell you this for the last 3-4 weeks? But
Right.
now you get it? Okay, no problem. And like, I went, soon as it was like lockdown over here, it was like, okay, they started the furlough scheme in April. Soon as like pretty much the 2nd of April, I was on furlough. And like, this is the thing, I started this podcast, just over a year ago. And like, I was like, yeah, doing it. Like, if you want to hear something which sounds truly shocking, while it's up for the next few weeks, just listen to my first sort of 8 podcasts, just me by myself. Hello, this is hello, my friends, my life warriors. My name is Serenity. Now let's talk. Just me and you.
Right.
Yeah, they will be gone forever soon. But it was like, okay, I could have sat there and like, you know what I mean, consumed a hell of a lot of TV, Netflix and stuff like this, like go for a walk around the park and whatnot, and just let that time burn away. Or I could get on this, do my podcast, like, yeah, currently now up to episode 90. And you know what I mean? I'm pushing forward. Like by the time this podcast comes out, it'll be kind of around about the end of November. Like, I've been doing so many podcasts at this moment in time. It was like once a week. Now it's 2 times a week it comes out with like an episode. But I took it upon myself to push myself forward. And like, you know what I mean? Some people would say, couldn't you pick up a skill or something like this? Like people don't understand. Getting something started takes a lot of energy. It's like, yeah. So you got to expend all this energy just to get that one thing started. And yeah, I'd say in maybe not 6 months, maybe in the next 2 or 3 months, I might start something else to sort of like go, okay, because I've got a number of episodes which are coming up, and I get an idea of what I need to do to get people, which I didn't know. Like, talk to me at this time last year about getting in contact with people to like go, okay, yeah, let me do an interview with you. Let me talk to you about this, that, the other. No clue, no idea. And look, this is the thing. There are websites you can go to find people, but yeah, I've been using like websites like Matchmaker, which I found like where we found each other. I've used other websites as well, but going on to LinkedIn, everything like that to get things started, no. No. It is different, to say the least. Different.
And so you imagine your growth year over year. And so, you know, to your point, the 2019 you will look so distant from January 2021 that you won't even recognize it. But to your point, by the time folks hear this, it goes live in November. Maybe a person doesn't stumble upon it until, you know, February of 2021. That person has no clue what the 2019 you was. And so it's like, you know, what you're seeing is, going back to the chat with Bozeman, you're seeing this version of me. You're not seeing the struggle.
Yeah.
Right. Like you said, the 8 first, those aren't even, you won't find those. Those are gone off the internet.
Yeah.
Right. So yeah, you're seeing the finished version of me. But the other point you made that's so true is, but what's next? Right. So how do I take this new acquired skill, this new art, and how do I make the world a better place? Or how do I create, you know, for me, how do I create a super dope world that I want to surround myself with? Right. And that's, again, kind of why I started Crown and Glory. Right. So it's like, yeah, these are the things that give me pleasure. This gives me joy. This is what I want to fill my world with. So let me begin to create this micro universe that I can enjoy. And that's exactly what you just described.
Yeah. Yeah. A lot of work ahead, and like, yeah, a lot of growth. Like, hey, like you might see it up there. Like, can you see that? Well, it's all blurred.
Yeah.
Come on.
Boom. There it is.
Yeah.
Love it.
Yeah. But
I love it.
Yeah. To keep that going forward, to keep it like, keep on learning, keep on growing. Yeah. And with regards to like what my venture with this podcast, like, yeah, it is about learning. It is about growing. And it is also like about giving people, which I would say might not have the opportunity to find that platform to be able to get their voice out and, like, you know what I mean, to talk and to like be found by others. And look, this is the thing. I have this sense like this is most probably going to be the start of something great for you. And the reason why I say this, because you've got your mindset in the right place. And like, look, the globe is in a recession at this moment in time, just down to the circumstances of 2020. After like big recessions like this, these are the biggest times of opportunity and growth for many things. So, and when I feel sorry for the people whose companies have gone to the wall and stuff like this, but yeah, it's a case of it may have sped up the death of their company, but it means that space for other people to fill it. It's like a brush fire going through. It's just clearing the land for something new to grow. And I think, yeah, you can.
Yeah, well, and most wealth transfers happen, during recessions. And so, you look at, I'm sure you've seen the meme on social media, Netflix wouldn't, or Blockbuster wouldn't buy Netflix, and, Netflix goes on to dominate, and Blockbuster didn't adapt. And, not only is it survival of the fittest and, adapt or die, more importantly, sometimes it takes, going through an abyss to rebuild yourself, right? And so while some people, and again, like I'm a very transparent person. Like, I'm a small business owner. I'm fighting to keep my doors open. Like, I'm trying to do everything I can to provide opportunities and value to make sure that I leave my community a better place. But the point I'm making is, if this is the beginning of your abyss, your 2015, then maybe the next opportunity is that coffee concierge, right? And so maybe you have to be submerged in a setback for you to grow back even stronger.
I hear you. You know what? On that note, I think it's a good time to end this. But yes, what I would simply say is, can you tell the lovely people out there how they can find you on the social medias and such?
Yeah, so I'm on all social media platforms, Coach Cam Cares. And my new course, Win the First Quarter of Your Day, is on CoachCamCourses.com. You can also pick up your complimentary copy of Crown and Glory magazine on CoachCamCourses.com.
Superb. What I'll also do, I'll put that information in the show notes down below. I'd like to say, hey, Cameron, Coach Cam, thank you for coming on today. You have been a superstar, a gent of gents, a legend of legends. Well, no, not a legend yet. In the future, I'm sure your path to legendhood is not guaranteed, but yes, definitely want to see that journey as it goes ahead. But thank you for coming on today.
Thank you for having me. I've got to get you a care package going here pretty soon.
Yes, I was going to bring that up, but yes, you do. yes, you do. What I'm going to simply say is, yes, my friends, my life warriors, whoever is here, like, I'm about to be a well-fed man in the near future. Right. I'd like to say thank you for staying. Thank you for watching. I would like to say stay well, stay safe, be awesome, be fantastic, be amazing, be all the positive bees you can be in this world and then some. Have a great day, guys. And yeah, peace and love to you. Peace. And we are